Hello everyone. Today I'd like to begin a radio journey, a video journey through the creation and trying to share with you the literal and historical viewpoint um, that what God did makes sense, and He wants us to take His Word, take Him at His Word, and nowhere does He want us to take Him at His Word more than in the creation story. If we can't believe the creation story, we can't believe any of the Bible. Just take your Bible there and just throw it out. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's a summary statement, and we're going to talk about the outline of Genesis, but right now I just want to talk about God Himself. In the beginning, God. And that statement there in verse 1 of chapter 1 is very telling about God Himself. And if it wasn't for God, there wouldn't be anything. There wouldn't be a universe. God is the first cause. God is the eternal cause. It was God who has acted to create and produce the universe. If it wasn't for Him, we wouldn't be here, and nothing would be here. 5 things very important about God as the first cause, and we see this in the context of Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. 5 things about the first cause. First one is that something has to be eternal. It doesn't make any sense that the universe could come out of nothing. Human experience, we don't know that nothing produces only nothing. So there had to be, because the universe exists, the logic says there had to be something in the beginning. There had to be something that is eternal. And there's several things, about the eternality of God. It's not just enough to say that matter always existed, or that energy existed, because that's not enough to explain the universe. The universe is much more than just a matter and energy. The first point is that something had to be eternal. And this eternal thing is God the Father, the eternal Spirit. The second thing is whatever was eternal, it had to be adequate. The eternal thing has to be adequate enough to produce the rest of the universe. And the universe that we see around us, complex and gargantuan and full of energy and full of precision, full of DNA and writing, full of information, full of order, full of life. And something alive had to produce the life. Something with order had to produce the order. Something with precision had to produce the precision. Something with power had to produce the power. And just matter or just energy is far, far too unsatisfactory an answer. No, the eternal thing, it had to be adequate, and the only adequate thing as we look at the universe to explain it is the God person. Another interesting thing about the first cause is that the first cause has to be unexplainable. You can't explain God. There has to be something out there that we cannot explain. And it's perfectly reasonable that there is something. As a matter of fact, it's demanded, it's logical that there has to be something that we cannot explain or understand. It just is. Otherwise, we would just be forever asking, what caused this? What caused this? What caused this? You can't really ask the question, what caused God? Because He's eternal. God, nothing caused God. God is just always existed, and there's nothing ever caused Him. He's uncaused person. You know, when there's no further. There's a beginning point, a point where we should be satisfied in our minds that we don't have to ask anything else, but the point of satisfaction about eternity in our minds. And when we say God is eternal, that should satisfy us about that should end our questions. The eternal God, it all began with Him, and He has no beginning. Another very interesting thing about the idea of God being the first cause is that God doesn't change. It's a strange idea for us to wrap our minds around. A theological term is called, we say God is impeccable. We talk about His holiness, and we in the theologians come up with the idea, the word impeccability. He's talking about how God, in His holiness, He never morally changes. It's impossible for Him to sin, impossible for Him to do anything wrong, But as His being the first cause, it's that same idea applies. He produced the universe, but it didn't take anything away from Him. He created it, yet He didn't lose an ounce of strength. And really, anything that's eternal is going to have to be unchangeable. If He could change, He wouldn't be eternal. If he could wear out, if He could get weaker, if His character could change, then He wouldn't be the eternal. There'd be no such thing as eternal. So, as we begin, to talk about creation story, it begins with the bottom of the barrel. When we get down to the bottom, the very most primary thing is that God is eternal. He's the eternal first cause. And we see that grand statement in Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He created everything out there and everything down here. So I hope that you will come and join me on this journey. Join me on this this lesson, these lessons. Join me in an exploration of the creation story as just word for word, face value as it is given us in the divine revelation, Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2.